It is Aryna Sabalenka who wins against Raducanu on center court. And this was a great match, you'd have to say. And major respect and congratulations to Aryna Sabalenka for withstanding what you did, because you weren't just playing against your opponent, Raducanu, a very good opponent, former Grand Slam champion. You were also playing against center court. You were playing against 15,000 rabid British fans who wanted to see Raducanu win, because for a long time, I think Brits have been wanting to figure out who is their next face of tennis. Every country really, but especially the countries of the 4 Grand Slams, Australia, France, the UK, and America, wants to know who their next face of tennis is going to be. They're a little bit in a, I don't know, point. For Brits, when was their last female, tennis person, female tennis queen that represented British tennis as a woman? Virginia Wade, the last woman to win Wimbledon in 1977. I mean, before that, I'd have to look it up. There's probably some I'm forgetting about, if I'm being honest, but maybe not someone who they can think of and saying, this is our person. Raducanu is probably the closest person to that they can think of. Obviously, Andy Murray just retired on the men's side, and so they really want Jack Draper to be that guy who carries on men's tennis for the British. So they really wanted her to win, and she's a very good player, and this was an entertaining match. She broke Sabalenka a few times, 3 times. Yeah. She broke Sabalenka in the first set, and then Sabalenka broke right back, and then she broke her, I think, twice in the first set, my mistake, and then once in the second set, and then Sabalenka broke right back, and then ended up serving for the match, which she did. But yeah, Sabalenka played very well. She showed her immense power that she has, that we all know about. She covered every inch of the baseline. She did a really good job at that. And she did a good job of not falling for Raducanu's tricks, I should say. She hits opposite court a lot, Raducanu. She hits the same place that you are, even though you think you're running to the opposite side. Every tennis player does that, but Raducanu was doing that quite a bit. And Sabalenka didn't fall for it. She was just a more clean, crisp player overall. I don't know what the total unforced errors were, but it seemed like Sabalenka had way less of those for sure, and she won the tiebreak. A very good tiebreak, 8-6, and Sabalenka did eke out the tiebreak. And overall, she was just a better player. She is the better player, but today she was especially. And yeah, Aryna. Obviously, I have to address what happened at the end of Roland Garros. Look, one of the things that I've always said that I hate in sports is if somebody loses any sort of competition, putting a microphone in front of their face and making them speak is one of the cruelest things I believe that you could do, because this is heart-wrenching. This is sad. This is terrible. They feel horrible. They don't want to talk right now. So why are you putting a mic in front of their face? I understand, media pays all of these sports, tournaments and leagues and everything a ton of money for us to be part of it and get words from your best players. I get that. But also, don't be surprised if they say something that is cruel, rude, disrespectful, or out of pocket. Don't be surprised. They are gut-wrenched by the fact that they just lost. Even with that, that's still no excuse for what Sabalenka said at the end of the match against Coco Gauff, where she said, it's not because she played great, I just made too many mistakes. How about Gauff played great and I made too many mistakes? You can just say that. How about not saying that if Iga beat me, Iga would have beaten her? What? What does that even mean? Are you trying to prop yourself up a little bit by saying that I beat somebody who would have beaten you, but that she beat you, so it doesn't matter? Sports doesn't work like that. So I have a huge issue with Sabalenka said at the end of the match, I'm not going to play the race card. I'm not going to play the class card. I'm just going to play she was hurt by the fact that she just lost, and she was trying to find a way to defend herself, protect herself, as many, players do all the time, which was stupid, of course. But that doesn't take away from the fact that Sabalenka is probably my favorite women's player. She's the one I enjoy watching the most. She has such an entertaining style. She has, great face. She's very strong. She's fast, physical, has a great serve, has a really good net game, is a great returner. She has everything in her game, but sometimes anybody can beat her on a particular day. Coco Gauff can beat her on a particular day, as we've seen a couple of times, not just the French Open, but also the U.S. Open in 2023, which was Gauff's first Grand Slam in front of her home crowd. And good thing is, she doesn't have to face against Coco Gauff this time. I bet you Sabalenka was, phew, thank God I don't have to face against her in this matchup, because that's the person who probably has the best shot of beating her right now, because I don't think Iga would beat her right now, because Iga hasn't played particularly well on grass in her career. And with Zheng going out and Pegula going out, and obviously Gauff, like I mentioned, and Navarro, with so many of these players going out, you have to ask yourself the question, who's really the person that Coco Gauff has to fear that could potentially upset her and take her out? I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that. And I don't know if there is anybody who that she really has to worry about and say that this person could truly take me out and hurt me in this tournament. She plays against Mertens next up. Mertens was the person who lost to Louise Boisson, I think, in the second round at the French Open at Roland Garros last month or 2 months ago. So I don't know. Her game is a bit on and off. Mertens. What's Mertens' first name? I'm not going to lie. At least Mertens, my mistake. She's Belgian. I'm Belgian too. I should know that. But yeah, so obviously you favor Sabalenka in every matchup, but you think it's a little bit more interesting if she plays against Iga or she plays against any of those other highly ranked players that maybe there's a chance that they could take them out. But regardless, Sabalenka did what she needed to do. She was the better player all in all. Great fight by Emma Raducanu. I really like her game a lot. I like the fact that the British fans were so behind her. You know, I do enjoy seeing home fans behind their home players because they want to see them do well. Of course, you have to enjoy that. You have to enjoy the love and the backing, as long as it's not disrespectful. And I don't think they were disrespectful towards Sabalenka, even though there are some players who maybe have become villains or have become circled as negatives across the tennis world. We know that was Djokovic for a long period of time. We know that's Sinner now because of all the doping stuff. And maybe that's Sabalenka now because of everything that happened with Coco Gauff at the end of the match. Maybe it's other stuff. Like, I don't know if you remembered at the end of Roland Garros, Roland Garros had a big thing where the night sessions, because they would have 4 matches on Philippe Chatrier, that was the main stadium. The night session was always a men's match at 8:15 local time. The night session was always a men's match because they figure if games are going to be, if we don't want matches to go too late, like in 2024, Djokovic versus Musetti ended at 3:06 in the morning because it started at like 10 something at night and then it ended up being a 5-setter. Ridiculous, right? But that's what happens. So, like, if we don't want matches to go too late now, we can only have one match in the night session. So the programmer, the heads of the French Open were like, okay, let's only have it be a men's session at night so we can make it as long as possible, but we make sure it doesn't go too late, so we'll start at 8:15. But then it's like, we won't have a women's match in the night session. Why don't you have 2 women's matches in a night session? Why don't you just start the night session early and starting the day of play? Because they started the day of play at noon at the beginning and then changed it to 11 on some weird stuff. Why don't you just start it at 11 every day? Because Wimbledon starts at 11 a.m. every day. And then maybe you can have 2 women's matches in the night session, or then a men's match and a women's match in an earlier night session. You could figure out ways around it. That's why I'm not going to say that it's sexist that they were doing it. I just think that they weren't thinking about alternative options. They were just strictly going, we're just not going to have any women's matches in the night session. Anyway, I'm saying that because Aryna Sabalenka said, women play 3 sets, so maybe that's a reason not to do it. And many people have said that Aryna Sabalenka has been like a sexist. If you watch this tennis podcast, they've been saying that she's been a little bit sexist during her time. I don't really buy that. But even she showed her backlash against it. She understood the reasoning, but she was like, no, I'm not okay with this. I would like for more women to be displayed at night because that's when the most amount of people were watching. I say all that to say that Aryna Sabalenka, also being from Belarus, a country whose flag isn't even shown for tennis matches anymore, maybe she will get blackballed by many people in the circle, but she seems to be head-on, headstrong, and just focusing on the tennis, even through everything that she's gone through, along with the personal life, her father passing, her ex-boyfriend passing. She's just fully focused on tennis, and she's the best women's player in the world by far, in my opinion. And she just showed it again against Emma Raducanu. Let's see how she does against Elise Mertens. But Aryna Sabalenka just showed her ability, and her ability is next level in women's tennis right now.